right, welcome back in here to Live Now from Fox. I am Andy Mack. We are now less than an hour away from that proposed deadline that the Pima County Sheriff says they potentially have on a ransom note involved in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Savannah Guthrie, the Today Show host. And they laid out a sort of timeline earlier on today at this press conference, giving some sense of what we're doing, but still no suspects, still no person of interest right now at this point. And they're also calling on the community for help. There's a reward out there, but they're also advising people. This a post on social media saying the Pima County Sheriff's Department understands that many people want to share their thoughts and prayers with the family of Nancy Guthrie, and we appreciate the community support. We respectfully ask that these messages be shared on social media and not through the Pima County non-emergency phone line. Calls expressing condolences have overwhelmed our communication staff. It's critical that the line remains available for law enforcement purposes. Thank you for your understanding, your cooperation as we continue to serve that community. All right, let's continue on here on Live Now from Fox and dive into more of the latest with this. Let's be joined on the ground in Tucson, Arizona, in this Catalina Foothills neighborhood by Fox 10's Justin Lum. Justin, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, they laid down that timeline, some of the details that were involved in this ransom note. They do not know if Nancy Guthrie is alive, but there's still hope out there. What are you learning at this hour?
Andy, thanks for having me, and we are definitely going to get into that note in just a moment. Just want to show you some of the contrast here. As you remember, just yesterday there was a full-on crime scene and perimeter set up around the home of Nancy Guthrie. Today, much quieter, aside from the media outlets here tracking the case. This investigation far from over as long as Nancy is still missing. And we talked to the Pima County Sheriff, Chris Nanos, about that, asking, if he regretted or, wanted to reconsider anything, having a scene up on Monday and then a scene again yesterday. There was a lot of access to the home between that time. He says this can turn into a Monday morning quarterback situation, but he believes his investigators did a good job and processed the scene completely. You had this influx of FBI resources, and they wanted to take another look last night. And as you said, the FBI confirming today that this ransom note linked to Nancy Guthrie provided a Bitcoin wallet address with a deadline of 5 p.m. today to make a transfer. Meanwhile, you have a $50,000 reward announced for information leading to the recovery of Nancy Guthrie or the arrest and conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. Like you said, no suspect identified at this time. The family has been very cooperative with law enforcement, according to Sheriff Nanos. And another big development today that we learned, Nanos says the blood found on the porch here has been confirmed as Nancy's. Remember, she relies heavily on daily medications for her heart condition she has. And although proof that she's alive isn't clear right now, authorities believe she's still out there. This comes less than 24 hours since Today Show host Savannah Guthrie and her siblings released an emotional plea on social media asking for their mother's safe return, and they made it known they are ready to talk to whoever is behind this alleged ransom note. Since then, there's been no further communication instructions provided to the family, we're told. Ultimately, it is up to them to initiate any contact, not the FBI, but agents are available to consult and have crisis negotiators on standby. Also important to note, the FBI made an arrest today related to an imposter ransom demand. Court documents say a California man sent text messages to Nancy's family after that video was posted asking about that Bitcoin transfer. We've also learned more about the timeline of Nancy's disappearance. She was dropped off by a family member following dinner just after 9:45 p.m. last Saturday night. The garage door closed as she was home around 9:50, and then at 1:45 a.m. Sunday morning, the doorbell camera was disconnected and removed, and just before 2:15 a.m., software detected a person at the property, although there is no video available from that incident. And at 2:28 a.m., her pacemaker disconnected from her phone that Sunday morning.
At the start of this thing, we weren't sure what we had, and as the day progressed, we realized that there could be more to this, and we started in that. Remember, it was a search and rescue mission the first few hours, and we transitioned that over to a criminal investigation. With that, brought in our partners from the FBI and others.
I think it's pretty clear the family wants to be contacted. They know time is of the essence, and if those that may have Nancy are watching this, the family is ready to talk, get proof of life, because there has been no contact after that ransomware note or ransom note went to the media.
And back to that timeline, Nancy was taken to that family dinner by an Uber driver. We're told by law enforcement that that driver was questioned as well. A lot of people getting interviewed right now, of course, including her family. Again, Andy, a $50,000 reward announced for any information leading to the safe recovery of Nancy, also with an arrest and or conviction of anyone involved in her disappearance. And it's unknown what happens after this deadline if it's not met today at 5 p.m.
Yeah, obviously this is the first of potentially 2 deadlines that they have laid out in this ransom note. I do want to ask you, because this has unfolded over the last several days. They were at the home and they kind of gave the home back to the family, and then they were crime scene tape there last night. Did they indicate why they came out, why they kind of reinvestigated the scene potentially?
And the sheriff says, you know, he believes his investigators did a good job of collecting as much evidence as they could. And now you have a lot of resources coming from the federal government, the FBI, obviously. And you have several law enforcement agencies here locally helping as well. It's unknown if some sort of tip came in or anything that led to them wanting to go back through the scene. But obviously yesterday, around this time really, is when law enforcement started to arrive and went back into the home of Nancy Guthrie. But that was a big topic because a lot of people from the press were asking about that time, that gap where there was a lot of access to the front porch. I mean, our own crew went up to the front door. We captured the blood spots on the porch, the patio, now confirmed to belong to Nancy. So there's so many people around, in and around this property between that time. They believe that they did a solid job processing the scene, and they could be back out here again. There's still more to look through in this area, to canvass, to go door to door and knock for neighbors to try and gather more evidence digitally.
Yeah, that is a very good point. And of course, they kind of laid the groundwork. They say there are no suspects, there are no persons of interest, but they're kind of looking at everyone right now in terms of that, where they're trying to find leads in terms of any potential suspects. How are they trying to narrow that down? Are they obviously focused on this? And I also took away from the press conference, the FBI is saying that is there any indication that Savannah Guthrie, obviously the daughter of Nancy Guthrie, is involved? And they said, no, there's no indication that she was potentially taken because of this. Can you get into that specific at all?
Yeah, there weren't a lot of specifics regarding, especially, you know, with this alleged ransom note, besides this deadline and talk of this monetary value. And then you also had information on this arrest that was made. So there was really a stern warning there to the public to not take advantage of a family going through what they are going through. And they will bring anyone that does something like that to justice. I mean, you can imagine after getting text messages following the post of this video where you're pleading for help and someone is asking you about, you know, a Bitcoin transfer. That's all in the court documents we looked at today. As for a suspect, they say everything is on the table. Everyone is being questioned, but they do not have a prime suspect. They doubled down on that multiple times.
All right, Justin Lum, the clock is ticking ahead of this potential deadline. Thank you so much for your reporting there from Tucson, Arizona.
Thanks, Andy.
All right, thank you so much. All right, great reporting as always, as this ransom note alleging some details talking about floodlights, also an Apple Watch that potentially Nancy Guthrie had, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. Pima County Sheriff, they are advising people to kind of share their well wishes, their hope that Nancy Guthrie gets returned home safely on social media, as to not tie up some non-emergency phone lines. And as you also heard there from Fox 10 reporter Justin Lum about an arrest that has been made in connection to a fabricated, potentially hoax ransom, as I can put this up here on Live Now from Fox, from Matt Finn, our Fox News reporter, saying an LA man arrested for allegedly sending text messages to Nancy Guthrie's daughter and son-in-law. Members asking about sending that Bitcoin. The man, Derek Calleja, says he just wanted to see if the family would respond. The criminal complaint says the texts are not linked to a February 2nd ransom demand, and we are several days even beyond that potentially initial ransom as the search continues for this 84-year-old woman. They do lay down some of that kind of timeline, a little bit of what we were watching unfold there as she was with family, playing games, having dinner on a Saturday night, and when she returned home home on that Saturday night. She potentially targeted overnight. She did not show up to church the next morning. This are kind of the timeline of what we're watching about exactly what went down. 9:48, the family drops off at their home. The garage door opens. There was actually an Uber. This at 9:50, the garage doors closes. They did say they have interviewed that individual. And then this is where it kind of gets a little interesting. 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnects. 2:12, the software detects the person on the camera. No video available because there's no subscription to this. And 2:28, the pacemaker app shows a disconnect from the phone. And then later on, as the family becomes aware potentially that she did not show up for church, that she is missing, that they did alert authorities. So just a little bit of a timeline of what all unfolded. They didn't know exactly what was going on. Very preliminary information about this. And Pima County Sheriff Chris Nano says they're not going to provide another update unless more information comes in. But we did hear last night from Savannah Guthrie on social media and the siblings and Annie and also Cameron pleading to hope for their mother's return, their safe return, asking and speaking directly to anyone involved in this for support, for help.